Hey guys, this is Blue Delta Wolf, and welcome back to Magic the Gathering 2014. Gonna do for you today a new Sweet 60 on two brand new decks. One of them is called Unfinished Business, and I'll tell you the other one on the next video. So this is a blue and black deck. It's all about reanimating your creatures from death and filling your graveyard in the first place to do so. And it's a very, very difficult build to make, but I've had a little play around with it, and this is the way that I want to run it. So the mana curve looks like this. It's not a very, very good mana curve, but it doesn't matter because you have a lot of graveyard manipulation and stuff, so the mana curve's kind of irrelevant. Obviously it's helpful to get a good start, but once you've got yourself going, you're okay. It's got 60 cards, 21 creatures, 16 other and 23 land, 11 blues and 12 blacks. I didn't run any of the Evolving Wilds because I'd rather pick a land than have to tap and get a land next turn. So I took out 2 Evolving Wilds and added 2 more lands. Anything between 22 and 25 lands is probably enough. So I opted for about 23. So here we go, here's the build. Putrid Imp. 1 for a 1/1 flying. Sorry, discard a card to give it flying. Now you might think that's shit, but discarding a card is part of the strategy. You discard your high level creatures, the ones that cost a lot of mana, and then get them on the field in different ways, very early on sometimes. And as long as 7 or more cards are in the graveyard, he gets an extra 1/1 and can't block. So 4 of them, that's your basic creature. Reanimate. You can run 2 or 3 of these. I just opted for 2 because there's other ways of getting monsters on the field, and I don't really have that much life to sacrifice, so I just put 2 in. There's the third one there. Una's Prowler, 2 for a 3/1. It looks, at first I thought, what's the point in this? Discard a card to bring her attack power down by 2, but any player may activate this ability. So basically what it means is you're going to get 3 damage through, or the enemy would have to discard a card. So it's good in a way. It's a very, very tactical card, that one. Or it's just one to discard then if you don't want to use it for that. But I thought that was a very, very tricky card. 2 Doomblades. Don't want to fill your deck with too many of them because there's a lot of black cards in this game. See Beyond. Draw 2 cards and shuffle a card from your hand into your library. Distress. Target player reveals his or her hand and you choose a non-land card from it and you discard that card. So that's good. So you can basically choose from the enemy's hand which card you want in their graveyard, and then you can pull it back up with Reanimate or other different cards. I might even take that See Beyond out actually, because I've just realised for drawing 2 cards and then shuffling 1 into your library doesn't have anything to do with your deck. So I'm actually not going to run that one. I'm going to run a different one, which I'll show you in a minute. Dimir Cutpurse. It's 3 for a 2/2. When he deals combat damage to a player, that player discards a card and you draw a card. So again, getting cards in the graveyard is great. Dimir Doppelganger. Pay 3, exile target creature card from a graveyard. Dimir Doppelganger becomes a copy of that card and gains this ability. So you can just keep doing it over and over again. It's amazing. Cunning Lethermancer. At the beginning of your upkeep, each player discards a card. You just want to keep getting cards in the graveyard. And this one is called Doomed Necromancer, 3 for a 2/2. Sacrifice him and return creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. And you can see that's where the beauty comes in. Hidden Horror, 3 for a 4/4. When he enters the battlefield, sacrifice it unless you discard a creature card. Again, getting creatures in the graveyard. Counter target spell, its controller loses 3 life. Another creature in the graveyard. Choose 1. Target player draws 2 cards or target player discards 2 cards. Victimize. Choose 2 creature cards in your graveyard. Sacrifice a creature. If you do, return that chosen card to the battlefield tapped. Cards to the battlefield tapped. So you can sacrifice 1 to get 2 back and then use Reanimate to get the 3rd one back as well. So it's amazing. Sift. Draw 3 cards, then discard a card. That was what I wanted. I'm going to put another Sift in instead. There we go. Diabolic Tutor, we all know what that does. You can get any card you want from your library and then shuffle. Ghast Lord of Fugue, or Fuge. Gas Lord of Few can't be blocked. Whenever he deals combat damage to a player, that player reveals their hand. You choose a card from it and they exile that card. Now originally I thought that was good. It is a very, very good card, but exiling it is not so good. It's still a good card. It's a 4/4 unblockable. I'm going to leave it in there. Body double, you can copy any creature in the graveyard. It's amazing. Turn 1 you can throw away your highest card. Turn 5 or 4 or whatever, you can bring this guy out. It's just amazing. River Kelpie, 5 for a 3/3. Whenever River Kelpie or another permanent is put onto the battlefield from a graveyard, draw a card. Whenever a player casts a spell from a graveyard, draw a card. And it has persist as well. So that's amazing. Fool's Demise, enchanted creature doesn't die, returns to the battlefield, and when Fool's Demise is put in a graveyard, return it to your hand, so this card always comes back. Beacon of Unrest, another way of getting a creature from a battlefield under your control, and also Rise from the Grave. Put a creature card from the graveyard onto the battlefield under your control. The creature is then a black zombie in addition to its other colour types. That's kind of irrelevant, but it's there. Seal of the Risen Deep, one of my biggies. It costs 6, it has Island Walk, Swamp Walk, and whenever he deals combat damage to a player, you can cast an instant or sorcery from that player's graveyard without paying its mana cost. It's amazing. I love this card. It's got a huge defense. It's got a big fat ass on it, so yeah. Silent Blade Oni, I originally only had one of these, but after playing it I had to put the second one in as well. It's absolutely amazing. It's got ninjutsu, so what that means is when you attack with something, you can then pay the ninjutsu cost and swap this card for that card. The other card comes to your hand and this card goes on the battlefield tapped and attacking. So it's a very, very sneaky little trick. When he deals combat damage to a player, look at the hand, you can cast a non-land card in it without paying the mana cost. So yeah, I definitely ran 2 of those. And this card is probably one of the best cards in the deck. It does cost 8, it is expensive, but whenever you cast any spell, return target permanent to its owner's hand, including land. That has so many uses. You can get rid of troublesome creatures, you can put tapped land back to your hand and replay it, you can get rid of cards that have been, pacified, or you can put them back to your hand or whatever. There's so many uses for this card, it's amazing. I've actually cleared the enemy's land completely. Every turn, instead of getting rid of creatures, I was getting rid of their land. And in the end they had none left. It was just amazing. And finally, Scion of Darkness. It does cost 8 for a 6/6. He has trample, and when he deals combat damage to a player, you can put a creature card from the player's graveyard onto the battlefield under your control every time he attacks. And it has 3 cycling as well. So, very, very strong deck. I'm loving this deck, playing it constantly. Loads and loads of fun. I'll just give you a quick rundown of some of the cards I didn't play and maybe why. I told you about Evolving Wilds. Accumulated Knowledge was good. Cost 2 for drawing a card and then draw another card equal to all accumulated knowledges in the graveyard. Now that's fine, but the only way that's any good is if you have all 4 in your deck. And to me that's too much draw for this deck. It doesn't need it and it's taking up 4 spaces. Exhume, I like putting creatures onto the graveyard, onto the battlefield obviously, but the opponent gets to do it as well. So no, I didn't choose that one. Maybe I'm wrong, guys, leave it in the comments, but that's not a card I prefer to use personally. Windfall, I was going to use this. I might even use it yet. Each player discards the hand and draw cards equal to the greatest number of cards a player discarded this way. So if you had 1 card left and the enemy had 7, you would both discard your hand and draw 7 cards. And there's 7 more or 8 more cards in the graveyard. So yeah, that could be a very, very good card for this deck, and I may put it in. Just what would I take out, that's the question. I'm going to play around with it a bit more, but this is just a basic guide, guys. Living Death, another one I was going to play. Each player exiles all creature cards from the graveyard and sacrifices all creatures he or she controls, and then puts all cards he or she exiled this way onto the battlefield. So yeah, a good, very situational. There's other ways of doing that without all that faffing about, so I just didn't want to run that one, to be honest. Kaga the Tide Star. All these big creatures are nice, but they don't really suit this deck. Nothing to do with this deck at all. That's a bit of a a bit of a mill card. These are all great cards, but I don't like them in this deck. Tidal Kraken, we all love Tidal Kraken. I should run another one of those, that's amazing. Decree of Pain, destroy all creatures, they can't be regenerated, draw a card for each creature destroyed this way, or you can cycle it and give everybody -2/2. Not a bad card, but still. I like the deck just the way it is. And the other one I didn't run, I was going to run it, but it's pretty difficult to get 3 black creatures out on this deck. And it's very expensive. It costs 9 for a 9/9. It's a good card, and there are other easier ways of getting it on the field. But I just wanted to run, I mean, I had already so many 5s and 6s, and the ones I chose I'm actually really happy with. So it's a case of either or, guys. They're all good cards. It's just a case of how you want to run it. This is a basic guide. I hope it helped you. If it did, feel free to rate, comment and subscribe. I try and answer all comments if I can. And I'll see you on the next video, guys. Take it easy.